It's cold brew season, and Trade has you covered for the warmer weather months. Sign up for a cold brew subscription and get coffees designed specifically for making cold brew delivered right to your door. But how do you make cold brew at home? Well, for a limited time, you get a Hario cold brewer with your subscription for absolutely free. That's a $30 value. Just pour, fill, and chill and have your own cold brew right at home. Plus, shipping is always free. Go to unitedwedrink.com/trade to start your subscription today. Better coffee is waiting for you with Trade. The opinions and statements in this podcast do not represent those of the host's employers, coworkers, family, or imaginary friends. Now enjoy the show.
Happy hour? More like amateur hour. Welcome to United We Drink.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another new episode of the United We Drink podcast right here on unitedwedrink.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever fine podcasts are found. I am Mike Urevich. I am joined by many people here this evening. We got Kevin Abbott. We got Tim Johnson, as usual. You guys want to say any words?
No, proceed.
I don't speak Dutch.
I don't even know if that's Dutch.
That sounds German, but we'll go.
German.
Well, same thing. They took them over, right, or something like that at one point.
This is already going swimmingly, by the way.
And oh wait, one of our guests has already logged off because they cannot be associated with this. Oh no, he's back. He's back.
No, we're here.
United We Drink gets canceled.
We got two people who are veterans of the show, you could say. They've been on this show between them many, many times. One of them many, 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 many times. First, we'll start off with returning guest for his second time, I believe, on the show. And a big-time listener of the show, super fan, Eric Hild. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Awesome.
Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, Tim had to twist my arm to have you back on, but we also have with us former co-host of the show and former guest of the show, Phil Palmisano.
Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for having me. I think. I'm not sure. We'll find out in the next hour and a half.
Yes, you can thank us later if you want to.
You know that whole diminish a band thing going around Blue Sky right now? Diminish a podcast was trading Phil for me on this podcast, frankly. I think we went from United We Drink up here with Phil to United We Drink down lower with... Technically, I suppose you did, Kevin.
Yes. No, technically, I replaced Phil. You replaced Joel. I think both of those were downgrades. That's true. Really, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
Tim, you need more skating commentary.
Yes. As somebody that listens on a regular basis, I'm going to say no. I think it's an upgrade, and I enjoy hearing your voices in my ears. I don't know if I'll listen to this one, though. I don't like listening to myself. So, I don't know.
Neither do most people. So.
I don't know how we could downgrade me though. Like, would it be like a puggle with like Tourette's? Like, is that like how we downgrade me?
I think it's here. I think it's Craig, the AI bear that is recording the show.
He's certainly more entertaining than me.
He is our most frequent guest.
Give him one of your zingers, Craig. Oh, Craig.
I really thought Mike was going to do something there and that somehow the bear was going to talk. I'm looking at all these beautiful faces here and all this industry knowledge and brilliance. And I'm thinking, if we can just get like two more people on this show, we can have more people on the show than people listening to the show. I think that would be a goal. How many podcasts can say that?
2. Ours will be the second. The other one, I can't even remember their name. They talk about toys and all of that. Like it's a shitty show. Oh wait, no, that's our show too. All right, so it's us. It's one. So, what is everyone drinking tonight, Eric?
All right. I mean, of course, I'm a man of multiple drinks. So right now I'm drinking our Kolsch called That's Beer, and then some LaCroix, and I also have a Hams on deck.
Very nice. I feel like very Midwest.
The land of blue sky waters. Or sky blue waters, the other way around.
blue sky waters.
Blue sky waters. You know, but on social media maybe a little too off.
It's digital water, so
yeah.
Phil, what about you?
I am drinking a fresh off the shelf Sam Adams Oktoberfest because it's that time of the year. And I got a Highlight Light on deck and a Blind Lemon Lemonade if things go a little long in the tooth on the podcast tonight. So, got to be a company man.
I saw you were drinking a bottle. Like that's probably the first bottle that has been dranken out of straight out of on this show in a long time. I saw those on the shelf. I think this past weekend, like when I was doing catch up grocery store work, and I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta go grab some soon.
It sells out quite quickly, so grab it.
I'm gonna jump in just because it's a similar thing. I'm drinking an Oktoberfest as well from Civil Society.
Nice.
I saw it on the shelf of my little indie grocer today. Brewed like 2 weeks ago, or canned 2 weeks ago, and like, all right, 'tis the season, right? Kevin, what about you?
Sorry, Kevin, I was going to jump in. It's just funny to me that you guys are drinking Oktoberfest and saying 'tis the season, because it seems like 5 years ago when people would complain if an Oktoberfest came out before like September 15th, and now every brewery I've gone to seems to have one on tap or coming soon, and people have been mad they're not available now in early to mid-August. So how the tides have turned on that.
Kevin's muted, so he's trying to talk. But
sorry, I was going to say, in fairness, I still complain just to do it because I enjoy complaining about creep. It makes me happy.
I'm trying to think Oktoberfest, so I'm okay with it.
I'm trying to think cooler weather, and one of those like positivity, mind over matter type of things. It's not working. It's still hot and humid as fuck, but I'll try through this 4-pack to the damnedest that I can.
Tim, you want to go next for what you're drinking?
I am drinking Press hard seltzer. This is the pear chamomile right now that I'm enjoying, and it is quite delightful. I kind of overdid it with taking a coworker out to some dive bars since he's relatively new to the state, and decided that something other than beer would be kind of nice for tonight. So that's where I'm at.
Well, I am drinking a Simulated Summer made by my good buddy Ralph. This is something I'm really proud of. He did a great job on this batch this year. And then I'm backing it up with several beers, including a Dolly's Polyally. That's a Dale's Pale Ale for my non-Miami peeps out there. I've got an Oktoberfest. I've got a couple other Barrel of Monks beers. I'm finishing my first beer right now because I figured two things. One, I'm sick and I'm just a little bit miserable. And two, there's so many people. I don't have to talk much. So I'm just going to get shit-faced and make terrible comments for the rest of the show. So you guys do what you do.
Is that better than when you get high and don't talk at all?
That was an experience. Speaking of that, I brought home the batch 5 for testing of the margarita, and we finally put the THC in it. and it's real close to being done. And I do have that. I am not going to be drinking that tonight because I'm not sure how homogenous the blend is. So it might be 5 milligrams, it might be 15, and then I'd be catatonic.
Ooh.
That's, like it's somewhere between there. Legally speaking, it's there.
When we're canning it, it'll be a little bit different than like mixing it in a giant brink. Like we're like doing a witch's brew and there's, ladles and things of that nature. That's kind of the point we're at right now.
That's what 450 North said.
Exploding cans.
Oh,
they had a beer that they on the can they had said that it was like 7%. But after adding like
there's
graham
so many
cracker and
North,
all of these other things, it actually only tested out to be like 2%.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'm exaggerating. It was that bad.
Yeah, I think it was like 8 to 2 or 3, like something like that. And they're like, who would have known that putting a whole bunch of fruit juice into a beer would actually dilute it?
Listen, we are brewers. We're not supposed to understand that yeast and sugar produces alcohol and CO2. I mean, who even knows that? What are we, scientists over here?
Craig, did you know that?
That was my major in school. I'm an art major here. Don't ask me.
What's everyone's major that or at least that you attempted to major in? For those that didn't finish, I attempted communications.
I was a art major, performing arts minor.
I was an art major with a management information systems minor.
Business management, entrepreneurship.
I am a current major in psychology with a minor in criminal justice.
Oh.
Brag much?
Yeah, Mike, there's nothing more to brag about than being a 44-year-old college undergraduate senior taking online courses instead of playing with his kid. No, I'm not bragging about that.
You're a senior already?
Yeah, I'm gonna finish up. I'm gonna finish up next spring.
Flown by.
Didn't feel like it to me.
I'm sure it didn't to you.
That means you're gonna go out during senior week, man. Like that in between period before graduation, just get blasted.
Well, Allie, my wife asked me because my eventual goal is to go get a master's degree, and she was like, "Oh, we need to start talking about programs." I'm like, I think I'm going to take a gap year. And I said, "Can I do that at 44? Is that allowed?"
A backpacking trip in Europe, real quick.
Exactly.
I took a 7-year gap between my undergrad and my graduate, so I think one is more than acceptable. Yeah.
Yeah, for whatever reason,
are you gonna pledge when you go back? You're gonna rush.
I keep telling Ellie, like, I want to live on campus. I want to have the college experience. I'll come back on weekends to visit our son and maybe watch him grow up. But she's not.
Bring the laundry home.
Yeah, you'd think she'd be excited about that, but no. Has to kill my buzz.
RAs are gonna love you, Kevin.
No, the freshmen that he can buy beer are gonna love it.
He's not gonna buy them beer. He's gonna try to give them beer that's his, and they're gonna be like, dude, I don't want this shit.
Yeah.
This entire dormitory is sponsored by Barrel of Monks Brewing now.
What do you get this weekend? Go talk to Old Man Abbott. He'll hook you up.
Oh, is he like just off campus? No, he's 2 doors down, man.
Just be warned. He's gonna go into a diatribe of how the Oktoberfests are out now, and it's only August.
I'd still hope that you put up like a Boondock Saints poster in your dorm room, though.
you gotta have something blacklight, too.
I was gonna say Scarface, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, get really into fish for a semester. Yeah, absolutely.
How are your hacky sack skills?
Oh, that's true.
I got a long way to go, but I got several years to perfect it. Right?
You do.
Yeah, I mean that intramural ultimate frisbee team is probably looking for a 44-year-old with what, probably like bum knees and has lost a step or 12.
Hey, know what we should do? We should talk about beer. Or not. Let's do it for 5 minutes and then get back into continuing what Kevin should be doing on campus.
Kevin's collegiate life. It's a dual episode.
Van Milder.
Nice.
Perfect.
And that's it. That's my contribution. I'll talk to you guys.
Take it easy, Tim. Good seeing you. Thanks for stopping by. So I wanted these two to come onto the show to have fun, one, and to two, talk about the industry, because they are in two very different roles, in two very different sized companies selling beverages of alcoholic contents in this country. So I wanted to see what they
and maybe outside of this country.
Outside of this country.
That wasn't clunky at all, Mike. Keep going.
No, nailed it. Right?
Outside of the country, I can guarantee that.
So I wanted to get their perspective on what they see the state of the industry being with stuff today. So Phil, what is your official title now at Monster?
So I am the Director of Innovation for Monster Brewing Company, overseeing the commercialization of basically all of our innovation items, be it packaging, new brands, new to world items, just about everything, and managing over the 6 craft breweries, and then working hand in hand with the Monster Equity team, Monster Energy team, for development of the Monster alcoholic beverages as well, and the NA beverages that sit in our portfolio.
It's very R&D, pretty much.
A lot of R&D, yeah. A lot of digging into scan data, looking at industry trends, trying to figure out where gray space is or white space, which is becoming less and less. And, how do we attack competition, trying to, best sit our company year after year, reset after reset.
I think I have the same question that Kevin's about to ask.
I was gonna say, I know that you are a big muckety muck in the world of beverages, but when you throw out terms like gray space and white space, I know exactly what you're talking about. But pretend that I'm a kindergartner and you have to describe it to me just for our listeners.
So gray space is some opportunity, maybe not completely saturated or filled out at this point in time. White space is something that we're looking at and we're saying, hey, there's really no natural competitor hanging out in this area. So while there may be something adjacent to that area, we feel that we can attack and go after an area of the industry or a segment of the industry that hasn't been touched quite yet. White space, much harder to find. Gray space, much easier to find. Saturated space is everywhere. So, did that answer that for you?
That's exactly what I thought it was.
Our listeners learned something just now, so thank you.
Just wait until I get into scan data and talk about rolling weeks and all kinds of fun things. Happy to educate.
PRs and KPIs and PFPs and
all right, well, Phil, let me throw out a white space idea for you here. Canned alcoholic soup.
Watch out, Campbell's. Here we go.
I'm surprised Campbell's hasn't tried to step in.
We get on that Hormel's train. Canned
I
alcoholic
mean,
chili.
everybody else is getting into it. Why not Campbell's?
Hard
Don't sleep on Chunky.
I mean, vodka pasta.
I feel like
is
I've had
Jason
the
Kelsey
chunky
still a
varieties
spokesperson
before.
for Campbell's? Because I mean, he's got his whole beer brand. Watch Garage Campbell's come out soon.
Okay, guys. Now you gotta stop taking. You're giving competition for me at least. White space. If I see Mama Kelsey advertising Garage Chunky Campbell's collaboration alcoholic beverages, the clam chowder could be like the new oyster stout. You know?
Yeah, I was picturing like a carbonated lobster bisque.
Ugh.
Even better.
Ugh.
The Hayes Bros from 10 years ago will love that.
Pretty much.
Oh no.
Barrel aged Italian wedding.
Oh,
There we go.
double dry hopped corn chowder. Yeah.
All right. Eric,
Yes.
since the last time we had you on the show, you have made a big move in your career
have.
and life. You were previously at Toppling Goliath, living in Iowa. Now you have moved to the Twin Cities. You're a neighbor, essentially, of Tim. So tell us about what you're doing now.
So like as what you just said, I was at Toppling Goliath, and now I am the head brewer at Blackstack Brewing Company in St. Paul, Minnesota. Been in that position now for a little over a year now, and it's been great. Been really enjoying it. Certainly, a lot of different things and issues to tackle over over TG, just brewing like system and things like that. But it's been going great. Not trying to change things out of wide. I mean, I've really respected beforehand, and I've always respected what Blackstack was doing prior to me being there. And now that I'm here, just kind of slowly massaging things, seeing what we can change, and just trying to change processes, things like that. It's been great.
About how many barrels a year do you guys do?
So Blackstack does about I think right now we're on track to do about like 6.5 thousand.
Okay,
6,500.
not a bad size brewery at all.
Yeah. Say we're and I mean we'll probably get into it a little bit later, but at least from talking to some of the other like people in upper management, and we're on track right now to have one of our best years ever, surprisingly, despite everything.
Good for you.
Yeah.
that didn't sound bitter at all.
No, I'm congratulations. I don't hear that very often. It's
Just,
usually doom and gloom, so it's really slow clap.
Good.
Based on all the other stories and everything, like even just in like the Minnesota thing we've had multiple breweries closed in the last couple months, like just this year alone, or at least other breweries downsized significantly. So like I'm very thankful for the position that we're in, and just don't take it for granted at all. Like what we're doing, I mean, I always like what we're doing, but I'm thankful that we're at least going in a good direction.
Can I ask a question, Eric, about that?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to get into all this. I mean, if anything, these are sensitive topics, obviously, but you making that move, what was the main driver for you to make a move like that?
I mean, there's multiple things. I mean, for me, a lot of it was also like I've lived and worked in like Iowa my entire life, and not to get too thick into the weeds, I didn't really agree with a lot of the politics that was going on in the state, and it was just I just didn't really feel as comfortable I was in the position I was in, and so I just kind of felt like the right time to like, hey, let's try to branch out a little bit more, see if I can actually like be worth my salt and that I know what I'm doing, because I learned everything I know about brewing from the folks at Toppling Goliath. I have an immense amount of respect for Mike Sabo, who's the executive brewmaster at TG, and I pretty much learned everything I know from him. And it just got to a point where I'm like, do I actually know what I'm doing? I'm like, okay, well, let's just kind of take that leap of faith and go somewhere else. And Blackstack had a position open, fortunately, around the same time I was kind of looking. So everything just kind of coincided with each other at the same time, and everything kind of moved really quickly. But it's been good, and I'm still learning. I mean, I'm always constantly learning things, but it's I think as an overall change, it's been good. It's been nice to be able to move to a city, learn, be around more people. I mean, I love Decorah. I went to school in Decorah for college. That's where my university was at. And just being able to be surrounded by more people, more things, more experiences, it's been a blessing.
You don't miss Club 45?
No.
You don't.
Very
There's a lot of other good things to like about Decorah. That is not one.
You don't miss the old Star Wars vending machine?
I mean, I do miss that. I also miss Haymarket, but what can you do? I can always go visit.
I miss Haymarket too.
Do you guys just want to get together and talk, or? Sorry, Mike. Before you have a very serious question, which I know, and you're going to get us back on track. I have a question for Phil. Phil, are you fucking standing up doing this thing?
Yeah,
that's standing.
I have a standing desk. I work out of the office, and if I sit down, I will nod off. Kevin, you worked with me for a good amount of time.
All I'm thinking as I see you swaying back and forth, I'm like, no one else is moving this much. And I'm like, is this asshole got to be working out my core, bro? Even when I'm doing a podcast, even when I'm having a beer, got to work out my core. I'm actually doing calf raises right now. Are you guys not lifting, bro? Sorry, I had to throw out the hard hitting stuff. I didn't mean to jump too hard down your throat.
No, it's more cardio.
You're just adding more resistance to them by jumping.
I don't have a walking pad though, so I can't walk while I'm standing. But yeah, I work out of the office, so I invested in a standing desk, which I love, and it's great. Makes the days go by a little bit quicker. Plus, the random dance parties in the middle of the day while, I'm listening to Limp Bizkit or something like that,
Hopefully you're not breaking crazy.
Oh, hopefully he doesn't start breaking stuff.
After a handful of samplings,
Is that a motherfucking chainsaw? What?
I think Phil should come on at least once a year, and every time he can be doing more activities. Like next time he's on a free runner machine the entire time, jumping jacks. And then we get to a point where he's just got a phone on a selfie stick and he's just sprinting through the woods the entire time. And he's in such good shape. He doesn't even, not about out of breath. He just talks through the whole thing.
Well, the other thing is my chair squeaks, and I knew Mike was going to complain about that. So,
good call. Good call. You don't want to get Mike's wrath.
I'm using a koozie so that we don't have to edit this podcast multiple times. I've learned. All right.
Oh, I've also given up on a lot of that, and one good reason because of this guy Craig over here is he does a good job of noise filtering, so it takes a lot of the hard work out for me. So I like it. But yeah, this shit's not being edited at all. I am putting intro in the front, intro music in the front with your wife doing the intro still to this day, and outro at the end, and that's it. All the rest of this stays in.
I gotta learn. That's United We Drink lore right there.
Damn.
Is it just Mike slowly giving up? Just slowly giving up a little bit more and more every single day, week, month.
Boy, looking at him, I thought I gave up a long time ago.
I
That
gave
visual
up
medium
about
on the audio podcast.
I gave up a little less than 4 years ago. That is when I gave up. So let's talk about state of the industry. So what each of you kind of sees from your perspectives as brewer for in all rights small brewery, and then marketing, sales, R&D for one of the biggest craft breweries in the country. So let's start with Phil, and because like you do text us about things that you hear us say on the show, about things that you agree with and that you don't agree with, and that what you see coming. What is going on right now to you?
Um, I think the industry's learning. Funny, I should have taken notes, but I didn't. As Kevin literally is writing in a composition book. I, you know, I'm really seeing trends. First of all, I think every brewery is trying to communicate to the same audience, which is this new drinker. And it's important, but at the same time, we all came up in a time of craft beer where we wanted to build our own six packs. To go back to the last episode, we wanted all, it was all about the trying something new from a craft brewery. Where now I really believe this new drinker isn't much different from where we were, but they want to try different lifestyles. They want to try different drinking uh, opportunities
Asians?
or occasions. They find new occasions. It's not. Think about how our cell phones are interacting with society nowadays, and video games, and people aren't interacting in person the way that they used to. Um, the the new consumer, the new 21 and up, 21 to say 30, they're looking for full flavor. They're looking for alternative beverages, maybe intoxicating beverages that are not intoxicating by alcohol, but intoxicating by mushrooms and or D9 or insert whatever that is unregulated right now through a loophole. And there's a lot of danger there. And the unregulation, for me personally, I would like to see more regulation. I don't want to see it close the loophole, but I want to see. I like where traditional beer wholesalers have stepped into that space and said we're going to regulate this, because nobody else is. They're also making hand over fist money on this stuff. I mean, you're not paying excise tax on it. Everybody's profiting pretty heavily off of it. Um, I think that new drinker is really just looking for flavor and change and something different that isn't their dad's. The worst thing I heard at one point in time, probably about a year and a half ago during ABP season, was someone said they overheard one of their like nieces.
You cut out a bit
college.
there.
Oh, sorry.
Right after you said a year and a half ago. Could you
So,
repeat that?
yeah, about a year and a half ago, I was in an ABP, and it was one of the worst things that I heard, which was they said, my niece said this brand is her dad's craft beer, and it's alarming because when we looked at it, we were like, hey, we want to drink something different from our parents, and we did. We searched for the new craft beers. We looked for different things. And I think innovation is really key. We need to continue to either bring back some of the innovation that worked in the past or continue to think forward. because I think that new drinker is really looking at that, and I think trends are looking that way. As for us and our drinking demographic, but lifestyle lagers are winning right now. You know, you're really seeing garage beer is succeeding. To go back to Mama Kelsey slinging Campbell's alcoholic chunky soup, um, you know, Real American, Outlaw, like these guys are, while they're not necessarily attacking AB and Molson Coors, like, you know, toe to toe, they're taking share every single day. And they're either doing it through proper pricing or they're doing it through appealing to a different demographic that AB and Molson Coors can't. And I think that's really, you know, again, doesn't matter what size brewery you are, you're trying to figure out where that new drinker is and what they want. And, you know, I believe it's flavor. I believe it's experience. You guys touched on something a few podcasts ago that I thought was great, which was how do you make your tasting room an experience? Because I think that's important for the small guys right now. You know, everybody else, how can we protect our space on the shelf to make sure that we're not being pushed out by, you know, whatever's brand new today.
Okay, so I don't want to get too into. We're starting to get into where do we see things and what the future. Like I wanted to talk about like right now, so I don't want to get too far into that. I want to allow Eric to chime in with what he sees going on right now before we talk what's next. So Eric, from your perspective, and also in your, I mean, your area is very different. Tim likes to tell us all the time about how different Minnesota is from Florida's beer
Crock
market.
pots of soup.
I mean, crock pots all the time, right? That's the Midwest thing. Just bring a crock pot to a party,
is.
right?
Good
So
old-fashioned pop-up.
where are you seeing things from your perspective as a brewer? And I'm sure you see what goes on in your tap room and what's kind of happening in your market for your distro and stuff like that. So where do you see things going from that?
I don't know. I feel like we're also like, Blackstack is in an interesting spot because even prior to when I was there, Blackstack's had a reputation of being like the hazy IPA like provider within like the Twin Cities area. Like it's known for like doing just like outrageous, crazy, like hazy stuff, like similar, like you know, in a similar vein of Top and Goliath, my previous employer. Um, but like they've done triple, quadruple. They even did like a quintuple IPA once. Um, I never had it myself, so I can't say how it actually turned out. But
What is the ABV on that?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, I know it. Tell you the label looks pigs fly, and it looked like the a little bit like the cover of Pink Floyd's Animals. It's pretty sick. But I never had the beer myself, so I mean, I couldn't see what the ABV is. You can go back and look at our old previous brew data sheets to see what it looks like. But no, we
14.
always pride ourselves on being like the merchants of the Twin Cities of selling murky. I mean, it's not an attractive word, but murky, hazy IPAs. But I mean, it's still something that people really come to us for. I don't know. I guess in a way, we still carved out that niche for ourselves. But we've also been diversifying our portfolio a little bit. I mean, we're still making some of our like classic styles. We had our spare part, which is a dark lager. We've been doing well with Working Title, which is our like Belgian wit. And we're doing more lagers as well. So we have like Slopes, which is our house lager. We've also been doing Wasting Away, which is like our Mexican lager as well. So like at least from my agency, I think people have been gravitating, even though we're still like known for our hazies, we've still been trying at least for a little bit more diverse options within our own tap room and also out in distribution. Um, just trying to keep our name out there, and at least in general, at least for our own market, really utilizing our own like our connections, things that we have. Like we've been focusing more on some of our relationships. Like we did a beer collaboration with a local business called Sea Salt, which is a seasonal restaurant that's in Minnehaha, which is it's in a park, but it's like this like seafood kind of brunchy spot. But they move a lot of product for us, and we collaborate on a beer with them.
And this is a lines at the door through the park type of restaurant.
It's very popular, especially during like the summer, but they go from like late spring to early fall. But they do great for us, and we have a really good relationship and rapport with them, and like it's been really fruitful for us. We also made a beer called Thunder Lizard, which is the brontosaurus fossil that's in was it the Science Museum of Minnesota. So we have a good relationship with that as well. That's been very fruitful for us as well. So we've just been relying on a lot on our connections, and just everything else has been like the people that appreciate us as a company and just trying to support like the other local companies around like the Twin Cities area itself.
I feel like that's something that I have mentioned a number of times on this podcast as like future things, things we should be doing now and into the future is collaborating with other local businesses and organizations as opposed to collaborating with other breweries. Like there's really not a whole lot to gain. Sorry to say we can be friends, but there's not really anything either of us gain by making a beer that a lot of times is just, oh, we picked a hazy out of the cellar and let's throw this dry hop on that and call it a day. But when you actually work with an organization like a museum or restaurants or charities and you make something together for that, I think that is true goodwill towards your community and really I think grabs people's attention more than just saying, hey, Brewery A collaborated with Brewery B making another hazy IPA. Who fucking cares? Brewery A makes a beer with local museum dedicated to this exhibit. Oh, tell me more. Stuff like that just grabs you.
Mike, I think you're missing a big point though. When you do that collaboration with that museum, do you get to order bad pizza and have it for lunch? And do you get to take an awkward photo? If you can't do either one of those things, then I don't want any part of it, because that's what real collaboration is about. It's about an awkward photo. It's about having someone pretend to throw hops in a kettle. If I am doing a collaboration and someone doesn't throw hops in a kettle who doesn't brew, then I'm not making a collaboration. I'm sorry. I'm putting my foot down.
I mean, can you call a museum your homies? Like, can you really say that?
I mean,
but yeah,
maybe.
That's true. Yeah, maybe not the MoMA, but you know,
where it allows the Science Museum to actually serve alcohol now. So I don't know. It's been actually like that. They've also ran into some interesting complications lately, like the Science Museum has. So we'll see how that is going forward. But no, I mean they've been trying to push more like a younger adult crowd to come visit the Science Museum. Like it's not just like, hey, here's a place to bring your kids and for families. It's also a place for young adults, middle-aged people. Like you can come here. So like they've been trying to push like after hours like events and things like that as well. And they kind of wanted like this collaboration beer, like which we've done in the past before. Because Thunder Lizard's also, it has like a tie to the Netflix show Stranger Things as well. I think it's like the kid's name's Mikey or whatever. The guy with the curly hair, he wears like the purple Thunder Lizard T-shirt, and that's from the Science Museum of Minnesota. So it's got a whole grab to it as well. But I don't know. It's been a nice partnership, which I hope can continue on.
I took a lot of notes from things that both Eric and Phil said about their experiences, which are very different. And I want to touch on some of them, but we come back to all the time on this show is how, depending on what space you're working in, the big space of national distribution versus a small space of being a local brewery, and how different those businesses are. And I am just kind of floored by just like that stark reminder of how Phil is talking about lifestyle brands and talking about gray and white space on a shelf. And Eric, you're talking about collaborating with a museum, right? It really highlights how within one industry, how different it really can be. And and I'm really interested to see, not to see, because we're not going to see it right now, because you guys have your individual positions and you're not going to switch in a Freaky Friday kind of situation, as far as I know.
Or will
Maybe
they?
you will. But if Phil was in Eric's position and vice versa, do you... Here's a better question. Phil, you worked for Barrel of Monks Brewing, right? You worked for Brown Distributing. You've been at the introductory level of craft beer as a drinker and then as a developing professional. And now you're working for a very large company doing, kind of high-minded, long-term thinking with millions and millions of dollars on the line. Do you feel like you have the muscle right now to step into a position like mine, where you're talking about like Joe Bob's Bar and Grill down the street, and if I can get them to sell an extra slim of Wizard? Do you have any nostalgia for that? Do you have a muscle for that anymore? How do you think about that?
That's a really good question, and something that I've had to think about recently, like getting back to the roots of field sales. And I think Eric brought up a really important piece, which is, regardless of being a national brand or a regional brand, or say a super regional brand, or just a local brand, because we have multiple craft breweries of different sizes underneath the scope of Monster Brewing. It really is making that local connection that is super important. And the sponsorship with the museum that you just spoke about, which is amazing, because you're working hand in hand with this account and you're creating a relationship. And again, we go back to 15, 16 years ago. This was a relationship driven industry. And it still very much so is, even coming out of COVID. Do I have that muscle to jump right back in and call on accounts? Yeah, I think I can. And I think it's a different approach, though, than what it was when I was out on the street, because I'm so data driven that the beer math is almost fast, where I can show you your profitability almost immediately and spin the information so that it plays in my advantage. And that's the difference between being out on the road today in comparison to being out on the road, say, 12 years ago. Before that, it was, hey, try my beer. I'm selling my beer. I'm not selling how profitable this item is for you. Some of that is learned. It's the development throughout the past 8 years, 7.5 years. It's since I've been back with, what is now Monster Brewing Company, previously Canarchy and Oscar Blues Holding Company prior to that. You learn that. And I'm very lucky to have the resources available to me where I can look at that stuff and continue to spend that. But the foundation of it all is, if you don't have that relationship to begin with, nobody's going to trust you. And so I think regardless of where the industry goes, that relationship and that trust is huge. And, building that name for yourself is there. I think, honestly, that's where I would have the hardest part jumping back into, say, the streets in Florida, is my relationships are not necessarily established the way that they were 7 years ago, 8 years ago, because how many beverage buyers have rotated, or how many, people have moved out of those roles, where now I'm going in essentially cold calling, where in the past I had a book of business with buyers that I could lean on. So I hope that answers your question. It's a good one.
It really is. What I get from you saying that is you continue to develop. You always have these relationships to where, as the industry changes, as long as your company can fill in those slots where there is the need for that product. If you have that product, you can then go to that account that you have built a relationship with and go, hey, maybe this thing that I had with you isn't working right now, but we have this instead that is showing the data that it's moving. It's what is popular right now. And you're able to move them into that, and they trust you with that. So it is partially having the resource to have those products on hand and be able to say, hey, I have this option for you. But ultimately it is the people whose feet are on the ground building those relationships and saying, hey, we have this thing.
Yeah, I think it's still very important to have representation, at least if you're a local brewery locally, to really dig in, own your backyard, own that halo. We talk about, different landscapes. So own within 5 miles of your brewery. And if you're not owning that 5 mile radius within your brewery, you're going to struggle 10 miles out or 15 miles out, or God forbid you leave the state. So I think it's really important to own your backyard, develop out. That was something that I learned early on. But at the same time, we have to support our wholesalers and, give them the information, give them a good portfolio. And as you grow larger, bring them the chain support to help them, because their portfolio is even larger than what your portfolio is. And, really I think diversity, and you guys touched on that, I think, when you were talking about THC beverages a few episodes ago. Diversity within that portfolio for a brewery of any size is really key right now. Be it coffee, you guys talked about that on the coffee episode. You talked about, how Burial is doing they're roasting coffee, and then they're going directly into craft beer. Stuff like that is huge right now, because you're diversifying your selling opportunities at the same time. So you're not just focusing in on, hey, I'm just going to sell this IPA, or I'm just going to sell this lager. I'm going to go and I'm going to sell a portfolio of beverage, regardless of what it is, and I'm going to have something for someone. You don't have to have the largest portfolio, but you got to have a good portfolio.
So I have a question for Eric. So you're in a much different position as a brewer than Phil would be you're in basically R&D now, but in sales for so long, and you're talking very much about a sales space, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just coughed there for a second. When Phil's talking about these things, are these resonating and ideas that you are kind of internalizing and thinking about for your brewery? Or are these the kind of things you're like, well, that's not really the space we're working in, or that's not my position to be, thinking about different kinds of brands? I'm just interested in someone that's brewing beer. Like, how does this market talk affect you, and how much do you get involved in that?
I mean, it's something it's always kind of been on my mind personally. Not necessarily that we always have conversations over at Blackstack. We're not always looking at larger scale. We still have our own meetings where we're talking about how things are going on, but we're not thinking about as the portfolio as a whole and what does it offer to the consumer, but more of how do these brands that we've kind of Frankenstein together, how do they all work with each other? What do they all what do we want to represent ourselves as a company? But I just kind of mention as Phil was talking about, just like the portfolio as a whole. I mean, we have that. I mean, think about what we actually do have as a portfolio. It's good. Like, despite the hazes and the lagers, so I was talking about offer. We also offer like a myriad of different THC beverages as well. We have our brand called Real Trees. We have about 6 different ones that are currently in the market right now. We just released an apple, or like a Honeycrisp apple, not too long ago. But we'll be going more into like mixed packs, things like that. But I mean, it's been a very good brand for us. The local gas station chain, Quick Trip / Quick Star, based out of Wisconsin. They sell our blackberry lemonade variant, and it does very well for us in that. But it's something that I'm always like trying to at least have a pulse on. I don't follow the numbers myself personally of like how well it does out day in and day out. But it's been going well for us. We'll see how well it does once full legalization kind of happens within the state. I can imagine it might decline a little bit, but I feel like there's still a demand for consumable products, and the variability in that itself. I mean, I usually kind of prefer more edibles / consumables rather than over smokables myself personally, but we'll see. But I mean, for the time being, we're kind of still riding that wave, feeling out how people are receptive to it. I mean, people have really been enjoying our products. And then kind of see where we go from there. I know we're going to be doing mixed packs at some point. Our distributors have been kind of asking for that. And since we have a few different varieties, I know it's kind of the big thing right now is mixed packs, but if people can try different flavors, then we're going to see if we can give it to them.
How Eric? How is your distribution footprint for THC compared to your distribution footprint for beer? Because I think what I'm seeing and hearing from a lot of other breweries, and I guess I don't know about with you guys, that it's almost. I mean, they're almost become 2 different business units, right? Like right. Like we're putting beer into this limited space, but THC is having a much broader space.
Right.
Just because in a state like Minnesota where you can't have beer in a gas station and you can't have beer, in a grocery store, but you can sell THC in a convenience store or at a doctor's office or outside of a playground or because there are no rules on that, but they do. Right, I think I was at my dentist's office, and he's like, "By the way, after your teeth cleaning, I've come out with a new THC seltzer, new THC toothpaste. I thought you would like.
I've come out with a new THC fluoride that I would like to put on. I
tell you what, I would floss a hell of a lot more.
I mean,
fucking make a THC.
Put that
floss.
shit in the drinking water, and we might have some more chill people in this fucking country.
Yeah. THC floss. I'm telling you.
Eric,
I wouldn't have to lie every time. But yeah, Eric, what is that? Sorry,
yeah, you did ask a question. He did.
So can you repeat what the question?
So what does that distribution like? How different is it for those two type? Those kind of business sectors? Because my assumption is, knowing all those things, that it is quite a bit different.
I mean, for the most part, we're still working with our same distributors, because it's not like the THC is generally going to like bars or any other people, but it'll still go to our main distributor for certain states. Obviously, it's a state by state basis, so we can't distribute to Iowa because they only allow milligrams per serving. So we right now all of our brands right now are 10 milligrams. We've had some 5s in the past, but we just figured just to make it easier and consistent, we just changed everything to 10. But we're now seeing a more demand for lower dosing /5s, which we'll probably eventually offer in taproom only, at least for the time being. But having multiple SKUs that are different dosages rates, it's hard. So we just figured just keep everything consistent. It's just easier. But otherwise, yeah, distribution wise, like, yeah, it's just state by state. So like if we're going to Wisconsin, South Dakota, Florida, I'm trying to remember where else we kind of ship some of the THC brands to. Yeah, just based on to the distributor, and from there it goes out.
Are you shipping beer to those same states though?
Usually it's together. Like they'll place an order for both THC drinks, beer, both packaged and like kegged, and they'll just go out usually one lump sum.
I think 2026 is going to be very interesting on the D9 beverages in particular, just because the rumor is at least some pretty large chains on the convenience side are going to start cutting in space specifically. And so we're going to start seeing more distribution of these D9 beverages in everyday life. I still don't think, for us down here, we're going to see our major grocer picking them up anytime soon. I think there's still a little bit of concern about the federal legalization of this actual product. But I do think, specifically convenience is really starting to see, hey, we're losing out to these independents that are selling, Kava, Kratom, D9, whatever root they want to crush up and blend with seltzer water. And they're trying to attack in a intelligent way. So I really think 2026 is going to be interesting from that perspective. If I was to jump into it, which I am not as of right now jumping into D9, me personally, if it was Phil Palmisano Brewing Company, I would target 3% milligram beverages. And the reason why I would do that is you want a multiple drinking occasion. You can sell it in the on-premise. You don't have to worry about that bartender over serving at that point in time. And I think that 3% or that 3 milligram dosage is really the proper way to go about it. And you can get 2 or 3 rings in comparison to that 5 or 10.
Right.
So I love what you said there, Phil. And it's funny because obviously we're developing a drink right now and we've been working on it for a little while. And just like everything else, we're way behind the ball when it comes to it, and we're way too slow when it comes to these things. It's just the nature of being a kind of a smaller brewery that has, we're not leveraged in that way. But anyway,
at the same time, you're one of I don't know any other local breweries who are doing them around here.
There's one that's going to be out very, very soon, and they're local and they're pretty big. So we'll see what happens with that. But
I'm reading into that one.
Oh yeah. But
are they in a park that's named after an East Bay city?
Quite possibly. No, but the reason I was really interested in what you said there, Phil, is that Keith yesterday said, as we're talking about the fact that what we're really looking for is, I want a package play in the market, but I don't have, like, my eyes are not bigger than my stomach. Like, I don't think we're going to own the market locally in package for this, but I think it could be a nice addition to our tap room and have an extra source of revenue. And if we can kind of dabble in this and make a little extra money before it all comes crashing down in a year because of regulation, great. I just want to make sure we control costs going into it and don't overextend ourselves. But what he said was, as far as the milligram dosage, like, what is this drinker drinking? Are they drinking 1 and that's it? Because if they are, is that a really good play for us? Because a regular visitor to our tap room does not drink 1 beer, right? Some people do, but most people have at least 2, sometimes 3. I mean, listen, we have to be careful. Obviously, people can get intoxicated, and we're responsible for that. But for the most part, when I drink a THC drink, I drink 1. I drink 1 5 milligram drink, and that's all I'm taking. Sometimes on a weekend night, I can go up to 10 milligrams and I'll be fine. But it is a really interesting thing from a brewery standpoint of when I'm trying to sell you multiple beers. When we go in, Phil, you talked about this as far as going in and trying to sell the profitability. When I sell my white ale to a bar, what I tell them, or I used to tell them, is, okay, you want to have Blue Moon versus the Wizard? Well, Wizard is drier and more drinkable. You're going to drink 2 Wizards in the time you drink 1 Blue Moon.
Yep.
And that's why I have a better beer for you, right? Even though you might more profit on one, you're going to sell more. That's not the thing with a THC drink necessarily, unless we're down at 2 milligrams or 3 milligrams. So that's an interesting conversation that I don't hear a lot of people having.
It's all velocity, and it's how many times can you get that individual to actually drink that beverage? I truly believe when you look at what is winning right now, and if you're reading the rags, it's Buzzballs, Beatbox, insert, whatever. I worked with an old coworker that used to say price per octane is the way to go. The consumer wants higher ABV at a cheap cost, but it better taste good. Stuff like that is winning right now, but they're only drinking one. And so I think that's where. What was that?
Look at Juice Force and like New Belgium and Voodoo Ranger, like the stovepipes.
And look at what they did this year by putting out 7.5 ounce cans. They want you to drink multiple. They want you to start indulging multiple times or reaching for that 7.5 ounce can because you don't want that 19.5 ounce can. So I think it all goes down to that. Everybody right now, the last time I was in Alabama's D9 segment was outrageously built out about a year ago. And there were some cans on the shelf that were touting 50 milligrams. Stuff that I was like, there's no way in hell I would even touch that.
5-0?
5-0. Yeah.
You said, I thought you said 15. You said 50.
Like 5, 10, 15. One was like 50. And I was like, why would somebody, and lo and behold, it was the one that nobody was really touching. It was the oldest one on the shelf, but we're dealing with the last time I was at Total Wine and I was searching for an Ocean Republic beer. Shout out Matt Webster, fucking great dude. Grabbing some stuff from them. I was in the THC D9 section and it was 2 older clientele. They were looking at everything and they were like, oh, I heard it's legal now. I think it's legit. And they were afraid of what they were buying. And so you need to have something that is like a gateway or an entry into this space. And I think that is a lower dosage so that someone can recommend it. You go to a bar and your bartender can say, hey, if you've never had this before, try this 3 milligram. This 3 milligrams is the way to go. You can drink one. If you feel good after 30 minutes, drink another one. Or, if you don't feel anything, order the 5 milligram, order the 10 milligram. But it's a way to get your rings up so that your overall ticket price is up and you're driving more revenue into your actual establishment.
I appreciate you saying that because I've seen a lot of breweries around here start off with 5 and then shift to 10, and there's been a lot going to 10, and it seems like they only think they're going after the experienced THC consumer. And
Correct.
I've said, and in my opinion, it's been, no, you're not, or at least you shouldn't be, right? Because like Unmatched, when we started doing THC, it wasn't potheads coming in and doing it. It was these boomers that probably haven't had THC in a long time. And so 5 made a ton of sense for that neighborhood, and they were at 5. But I also like the idea of, having a 10 and treating it just like you do alcohol, like having multiple. And yeah, I know that becomes tricky,
cumbersome.
but it, if you treat it like you do different brands rather than trying to say, oh, I need to have, a 5%, I don't need to have a 5% Bud Light and a 6% Bud Light and a 7% Bud Light, but you actually brand them as different, then you can go with THC light, THC heavy, THC extra, those types of things. I like that kind of idea, because at that point now you're just making a different product. So it becomes less cumbersome naturally, because it becomes more like you're treating different beer. Whereas I think so many brewers have treated THC like it's one product with different flavors rather than different products within a segment.
Yeah,
So
correct.
yeah.
It's funny because I have a question for Eric going way back in this conversation, and now we are nowhere close to that. I will get to it in a
Great.
bit, hopefully. But to stay on topic of the THC thing, the first THC beverage that I tried was can, and they have 2 milligram small can versions, and I was like, okay, this is a good jumping off point for me to get something not super high potency. It's a small can, so there's not a whole lot into it, and I was like, oh, okay, like it gave me the confidence to jump up to a 5. I still haven't done a 10 milligram can of anything, but like
I could send you
it's
some.
I really there's some available. Like I looked on our Total Wine website and don't see yours down here. But like I was on Can's website and they have like step ups. They have like 2 milligrams. They're small cans. Then they have their series called High Boy that are 5 milligrams. Then they have Higher Boy that are their 10 milligram stuff. So keeping those offerings available. And to touch on something that Phil said a little while back about on premise, I have started to see some places carrying these, and having a low dosage one where people can have a few, I think might be a brilliant move for on premise type of places to, just have that different offering available to you, and where people who want to maybe try are not going to be so scared off by like, ah, fuck, am I going to get super fucking high and then I'm going to be weird and then you're not going to want to be around me. Like it is a real good way to nudge people, probably like peer pressure them into trying it by having those lower doses available.
Yeah, I think we all agree with you on that. I mean, it's a very prescient thing to mention, Phil, and obviously, all of us have thought about this in some way, shape, or form, either as consumers or as producers. And I mean, at the end of the day, you got to look at your audience. What is a bigger audience? People who are regularly intaking cannabis products, THC, and want to have a liquid version of it, or people who are never engaging with THC at all. And there are more people that are not engaging with that, especially in a state where it's not legal. Right. So your customer base is bigger for the new person you're trying to encourage on to try your beverage. Mike, I think right now is as good a time as either. Ask Eric the question that you
So
had.
I want to go back to kind of the plan, like how you guys decide what is being brewed. Like how much is marketing determining what you brew, or like is it marketing driven? Is it brewer driven? Is it a combination of both? And does one have a little more sway over the other? Because like I do feel like in this day and age, like if you have a marketing person or company that works with you, you're a really good size brewery. Like you're
Right.
you're 3 to 4 times larger than the brewery that I work for, and I am the marketing person for that brewery. Like, how much does that play into what you're making?
I mean, it's a combination of both. Like, I mean, obviously we have our core brands. Realistically, we only really have three. So our main core is Local 755, which is our main hazy IPA. Pull Tabs, which is our like a hazy pale ale, and then Slopes, which is our like house like Pilsner. Which you guys talked about earlier, which that's the one we changed from a French Pilsner to just Pilsner. But in between that, so like depending on what we're low on or like how depletions and things like that are going on. We'll fit those in the schedule as needed. But besides that, we still have our IPOs. So we'll have those usually are some sort of like double IPA. We'll see if we need to, like if we're doing a collaboration coming down the line. Or
who is driving that? Is that the brewing team or is that sales? Is that marketing that is saying like, hey, we need to make these types of beers?
So every Monday we have like a managerial meeting. So our like owner, he's not technically an owner. It's a weird thing, but his name's Murphy Johnson. He's kind of like the visionary of the brewery himself.
He has 2 last names.
Yes. Murph Johnson. But we all kind of come together like, hey, like make like what are we kind of looking for? What do we kind of want to like do at this time, like point in time? Like, hey, we have like an idea, like we want to do this, or like just recently we did another collaboration with Toppling Goliath, and we just released that. I think this last weekend. But it just kind of depends. We'll have like some small places in here where we have a few 20-barrel tanks where we're like, here's like a quick one-off that we can do. Like, hey, let's get back. We just did I know you posted about it a little bit earlier. Our Take a Hike, which is like a West Coast or like a no coast Midwest IPA, similar to Summit EPA or Sierra Nevada Pale. So it's just kind of like our own like a standard pale ale. But so we'll try to fit in these other like smaller, like random, like different styled beers, depending on if any of the brewers want to like make a recipe or something like we have like an itch to make something else. But yeah, for the most part, it's just kind of making like our core, sprinkle in some like double IPAs, maybe I throw a triple IPA. Like that's
Do
kind
you
of
have do you have a marketing person? Or
Yes
team
and
or a firm
no.
that you
we
work
have
with?
we have a few people on our sales team. Our like social media manager is unfortunately leaving in a couple weeks. And so we're looking for a new one in the time being at least as we're recording this. But I mean, for the most part, it's been a lot of Murph kind of being the spearhead for most of like the marketing, the iconography, and things like that for Stack.
Okay. So like will he come in and be like, "Hey, I'm seeing that this is something that's going on out there." Like was that like I'm sure the THC existed before you were there, but like
Mhm.
would he come in and with an idea and be like, "Hey, I'm seeing this stuff working out on the market. We should try making this. Should we try making this?"
Yeah,
So is like
absolutely.
while
Yeah.
at the same time the brewery team's like, we want to make this, and I'm sure you represent that as the brewery team and be like,
Right.
I'd like to make this, and we would like to make this, blah blah blah, and try to find what works well for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like we just kind of come together and be like, hey, we should do this, and like both like either of us kind of got like shut down of like we're not going to do that right now, or the other thing like the other way, like we're just not going to do that right at the moment. Or like we could do that like later in the season, just because that's more of like a seasonal beer of like maybe we'll like I really want to do a black IPA. We'll see if that ever comes to fruition, but but yeah, exactly. Everyone else approves, but I feel that's a very brewer based beer, but still.
Know
So
about that, but we are talking about white space now, Eric. So let's.
Hey, it's coming back
let's
into vogue. At least that's what people keep telling.
So
we
on
can move
Monday
it
when you
from a Cascadian dark ale to a Citra dark ale, and like
Yeah.
minds will explode.
You know what? Just call it a Cascadian IPA. Everything's an IPA now.
okay, hear me out. Cascadian tomato soup.
I am glad we got back to soup. That's where I wanted to be. I'll be honest with you guys. I wanted to be talking about soup,
Yep.
and we got there eventually. Thank you for wrapping it back around.
so Cascadian for those in the South, or sorry, in the but Phil, I kind of have like a similar question for you. So in the innovation side of things, like you have the Cigar City brewery that is like dedicated to innovation. I assume Dale's or Oscar Blues has a smaller team that deals with you, and like so is this stuff that they are being dictated and told like, hey, we'd like you guys to make this type of thing and see where that goes, or are they also coming to the table and being like, hey, we'd like to make this and we think that it could be a good thing? Like, how much of that is a truly collaborative thing, or is it very market and sales driven to the brewing teams?
It's so we're moving in more of a collaborative landscape now. So tie-ins with wholesaler feedback as well as production, what they're interested in. I'm extremely lucky to work with some amazing brewers across the United States, and sitting in on meetings with them can be. I think for them, it's probably entertaining to have me in those meetings because I'll say something like pumpkin beer and be like physically muted for the next like 20 minutes. So it's a good joke for all the brewers out there. But in all reality, we are looking at things from a multiple standpoint. Like we want data to drive our decisions, if we can find opportunity. But one of the things that I was going to say early on when Eric was talking about his role currently, and you asked him, hey, where's your innovation coming from? Some of the best ideas come from the production staff. They come from the brewers. They come from the individuals that are out in the local market, seeing what's popular, be it in a cocktail scene or in a everyday drinking environment. And it allows you, regardless of your size, hopefully smaller breweries can adapt quicker. They can pivot quicker. But it allows you to put together that selling story for that innovation development. So that we're really starting to see sales, wholesaler relationships, production. One of the first things that I did when I stepped into this role, and hopefully I don't get in trouble for speaking about this, but I opened up essentially a suggestion box for every employee in Monster Brewing to submit ideas for production, because I think our best ideas are with the people that are out in the market, regardless of what position you're in. And so I think we're well over 100 ideas since March, unique ideas that are just consistently flowing in. And then it's a matter of, hey, do we have the capability, or do one of our co-packers have the capability of doing this so that we can actually get this to market? And that's honestly been our best success. And it at that point in time, it turns into a true collaborative company-wide. I've actually received ideas from finance, which was interesting. But when you look at it, it's like, hey, maybe there's something here. Everybody's landscape, regardless of where you're located around the United States, is a little bit different. So maybe you're seeing a trend that we're not seeing down here in Florida. Maybe it's popular out in Ohio or out in California.
So yeah, that was something I was going to ask is, have you ever, because I think one of the traps that small breweries get into in particular is that they're not necessarily used to data driven decisions, right? Because it's very much a that homebrew DIY ethos. We started out of our garage. We're not necessarily looking at that. And so, that allows for great innovation, but you need to be able to pay for innovation, right? So a lot of times you need to sometimes you need to make the beers you don't want to make so that you can make the beers that you do want to make, right? But do you ever maybe like, maybe somebody in Grand Rapids has an idea, but Monster goes, well, you know what? Maybe that's not going to go in Grand Rapids, but boy, that would do really well in Florida. Is there ever sometimes some of those things too? Because you can see the data, you can see the scan data, you can see the other things. Because sometimes like it can be a great idea. And maybe it was driven by hey, I had this one cocktail at this one bar in town, but that still doesn't necessarily mean, because a lot of times great ideas are anecdotal but not really supported by anything that makes it a great idea in a particular space.
It's a solid question because I think there's more to it than just throwing the idea out there. It's a matter of how are you going to market it within that new territory? How are you going to execute it when it comes to the launch? Taking an idea, I think you were drinking root beer and a lager an episode ago.
I was.
So I don't know if that is something, like, how do you execute that? How do you market that when you go like, hey, we found the number one root beer market in all of the United States and this is a hot new trend. How do we launch this in root beer market X? I think there's so much more to it than just like, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to throw it over here because this makes sense. But I think, yes, the other thing about that is it's expensive,
Mm-hmm.
and, I think coming from the smaller side and not having those resources and having to lean on relationships with wholesalers. And if you're working at a small brewery and you're not leaning on your first of all, if you don't have a good relationship with your local wholesaler, that's problem number one. If you do have an empathetic, understanding relationship with your local wholesaler, and this is where Kevin and Mike and I have always sort of battled, empathy is key with your wholesalers. Understanding their situation is essential because they sometimes can provide you that data that you can't afford. And so then you can start spinning that, and they can also sell into some of these chains that maybe you're not invited into. So it really is leveraging that relationship out of the gate, making sure that when you do sign, specifically in a franchise state with malt beverages directly, make sure that you're signing a good partner, and then be a partner. Like, don't like. I think the term partner is so overused at this point in time. There has to be mutual growth. We have to be able to work together to grow each other's businesses, and they should provide you some of that information that they have access to that you don't. That helped us at when I was early on at Cigar City. It helped us at Barrel of Monks, and it continues to help us today at Monster Brewing Company. So, it really is important to have those relationships out of the gate. Now Kevin's going to tell me I'm wrong.
No. I don't want you to lump me in with Mike because I'm always the one in these podcasts that is like defending the distributor. No. I mean, seriously, I've been the one. There was an episode of me, Mike, and Joel together where I was saying, well, look at it from their perspective. And I was the asshole. By the way, I am the asshole. I'm fine with that. I'm comfortable with it. It's what I own that
Why
position.
we worked well together.
But no, I understand your position there on that, Phil. But the big thing that I was going to say, and that I think you said it in kind of like a low key way, is that data's expensive, right? Like nothing would make me happier than making data driven moves, but I don't have the data. And in acquiring that is a zero sum game for me. If I go to acquire, I'm never going to make up, in the short term what that's going to cost me to do. And it's one of the struggles that you have, and that's that dichotomy between the big business and the small business, is that we have to have these different kind of grassroots things to grow. And it's even the difference between talking about like a lifestyle brand. Like, can a local brewery be a lifestyle brand? I don't know if that can really happen or not. Like, there are these little segments that we may or may not. And by the way, with the right brain trust involved, maybe you can. Maybe if you make all the right moves and you have someone that's very innovative, but it becomes very difficult to play in that same sandbox when you're on the shelf next to that brand that is national. And I'm not trying to play, poor us. It's just that when you are running a different business, your business is different. I mean, it's a stupid thing to say, but I said it.
No, it is. I think there is some availability of locality. Local breweries are trying to be a lifestyle brand, and there's one in the Treasure Coast that I see merchandise more than beer sometimes. I also see them active out in the market. They have a very interactive sales rep that I highly respect personally. I think the guy's got a great attitude. I think you can build that local lifestyle brand, even being a local brewery that is owning their, going back to that term of halo, 5, 10, 15 miles outside of your brewery.
I mean, look at Nuclear is.
Yeah.
Eric, what was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the quintessential lifestyle brand of, they're Wisconsin only.
Of Wisconsin, yeah.
Yeah, it's the quintessential Wisconsin beer. I mean, people aren't wearing maybe their merch everywhere, but they're damn near in every bar in Wisconsin.
And they've gained a reputation, and I'm not saying the reputation isn't earned, but they've gained a reputation that far outpaces their beer.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right. Because there are a lot of people that are going to try Spotted Cow because they're told that they're supposed to try Spotted Cow. That really becomes a lifestyle brand. We have local bar owners get in trouble regularly because they're illegally importing Spotted Cow. It's a fine enough beer. But
it's like what Fat Tire was like.
Yeah, but you're not selling that beer because of that beer.
No,
right? That beer is not selling itself. Let's be honest.
It's like Fat Tire 15 years ago. Like the name preceded itself. Like people were like, I need to know what this Fat Tire beer is all about, and for most people outside of the Colorado area, they're like, oh, this is fine. And it did well enough for it but the reputation of some of those brands continues to this day. I mean, Fat Tire still they're trying to push that as a almost like a brand extension and a lifestyle brand all in one. But I think they've changed what the beer is itself. But I think that local breweries have a really good opportunity to have lifestyle brands built into them. I mean, to go back to them once again, Garage was a small brewery lifestyle brand from, I think, Buxton Brewing out of Kentucky. It was a brand that they created as a lifestyle brand off of that, and it started doing really well, and they got the freaking investment infusion of the Kelseys, and now they're having it contract brewed and co-packed in different locations. They're getting into placements in major grocers and blah 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 blah. So that was a small local brewery who created a lifestyle brand that exploded. So it can be done. Like I see some of these all other smaller ones that have really like Cold Snacks up in the Pacific
Montucky.
Northwest.
Montucky.
Yep.
Yeah, like I don't even know where that's actually made, but like I saw it all over the place in the Pacific Northwest. And because I follow, shout out to Kodo Design, who are friends of the show. They did good drinking beer or cold drinking beer, a brand extension and lifestyle brand for. Oh yeah, there. Phil just held up one of their books, and they did it for a Virginia Beer Company, and they created a lifestyle brand based around like it doesn't carry that name of Virginia beer along with it, and they seem to be doing really well with it. And I think that this is a potential for breweries of all sizes, really, to create something that starts off with a local like groundswell and can really just go from there.
So as I mentioned earlier briefly, I took a lot of notes, and I didn't ask any of the questions I wrote down, which is probably good because they're probably bad questions. But I've taken more notes, and I have come up with. I really wanted this to be an educational situation for me because while I talk like I'm an industry expert, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So I have taken the things that Eric has said, the things that Phil has said, the things that my esteemed colleagues on United We Drink have said, and these are this is a philosophy that I'm building the next 3 years of Barrel of Monks around. We're going to partner with a museum. That's definitely one. Okay. We're going to make alcoholic soup. That's absolutely happening. We're going to make 3 milligram THC drinks. We're going to stand up while we're working. No matter what, we're going to be standing at a desk. Everyone stands. The brewers stand. It's fine for people in the office. And we're going to create a lifestyle brand for Barrel of Monks by saying, you know what, guys? Now it's Florida only. No one else has ever asked for it. No one else wants it anywhere else. But we're going to say, listen, guys, we decided we're Florida only now. We're not going to sell beer to other states.
I like that idea. I think that's actually really kind of like a cheeky. I mean, I know you're joking, but I like the cheekiness of it. Honestly, of it's a new way to look at local, because local has become the most bullshit term. Because it became a stand-in for a lot of other things that local isn't, right? I've always said, right, especially like, oh, so that owner isn't local, and the ingredients aren't local, and the packaging materials aren't local. Being like, what does local mean? But I do kind of like the cheekiness of the exclusivity of it, like almost. I mean, your tongue is planted firmly in your cheek when you're doing it, but I think it's kind of a clever way to get at those same things without it being so trite.
I think you can market it as like.
I was going to say at the same time, while former guest of the show, Joel Suarez, just hosted a Florida versus New York event up in New York City with your beers. So
Joe, yes, we definitely distribute a little bit of beer outside in New York, and we've distributed beer in different states as well, very minimally. But it would be really funny to be like, now Florida only, and then in like small caps, we've always just been basically Florida, but still now, right? Then Florida only.
We could
now Florida only.
I used to do a lot of drugs. I still do, but I used to too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
we used to distribute the Florida only. We still do, but we used to too.
Yeah.
So I mean, Eric,
everything comes back to Hedberg, really.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, pretty much. Eric, do you feel like the THC space, talking about lifestyle brands, I feel like that seems like a more ripe space for lifestyle because I
Mhm.
think people just define themselves around it a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
Right. But B, I think just because so open. So do you guys feel like the way I know you said you sell and ship out your beer and your THC all as one, but you've branded it as its own kind of brand and things like
Mhm.
that, right? Do you feel like you guys maybe that's the space? Because I don't know, to Mike's point, yeah, there's lifestyle brands that can come out in small places. I don't know where Blackstack fits in on that, but I think with the THC space, it feels like that's a spot in there. And I know marketing isn't your forte necessarily, but you're also a really smart guy who is involved in a lot of these other things. Um, is that where you guys are, or do you feel like Blackstack is a place that, and maybe I'm wrong?
I mean, I feel like I would like to see more of a separation personally of our THC and beer brands, and lean a little bit more into one or the other, at least from a marketing standpoint. Not necessarily, I don't know, fully separate the two, but I feel like, I don't know, create an identity more of our THC brand, Real Trees, than uh, just it being as like, oh, here's the THC brand of the brewery. I mean, that's what I would like to see personally. But at the time, I mean, for the we also just got some numbers. I mean, I'm not going to reveal those, but like who's currently doing like how other breweries are doing like compared to each other for sales with a particular distributor, and I don't know. It was interesting to see like who's doing well, what's selling out there right now, what's not selling, and it's kind of opening. And like, and I don't have my finger on that pulse as much as I would like to. I've all been when it comes to like social media, things like that, myself from that. But also even from like a consumer standpoint, like I don't go out to like my local grocery shop or like Total Wine or anything like that. Like I don't buy beer. I don't really buy THC too much myself personally anymore. So it's like I don't know what the general consumer's actually buying personally. So it's been interesting to see what people are gravitating towards. And we're doing well for what we're doing, um, but trying to improve and things like that. That's something I'm still trying to like hone in on myself personally.
I mean, it's hard for brewers. I know I fell into that trap, and I used to always admonish other brewers, like, when I can take home a case of low fills, why am I spending money at the liquor store, right?
Absolutely.
Right. But like if you don't go out and do those other things, like it does become really hard to force yourself to get more involved. So a lot of, especially because
Mhm.
this is such an an echo chamber of an industry in the first place, right? Everyone you know is also a brewer, right?
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it becomes a point where it's like all you guys talking to each other, not necessarily talking to people who don't. Like your best friends that know nothing about beer are the best people to talk to about this stuff, but they don't want to talk about beer, and they feel intimidated talking to you about beer. But it's like you're gonna get a lot more insight from them than you are your seven other brewer friends who are all
Mhm.
saying the same thing, and that becomes a real challenge when it comes to that. Not just innovation space, but also just the really understanding what's going on. Like
Right.
yeah,
I think
it becomes an
that depletion data that you're talking about, Eric, from the wholesaler. So, if you're using VIP Karma, you're seeing depletion data for your actual brewery, but your
Mhm.
wholesaler sees depletion data across their portfolio, so they get to actually see, who's depleting quicker out of their warehouse. There's a
Right.
lot that you can do with that, and that depletion data is much more cost effective than syndicated scan data that you're looking at. That is Nielsen, IRI, anything else. that you're trying to make all these, you're looking at competitive through the register rings. Depletion data is super powerful. Then it's a matter of once it's in there, and I think the most important thing that I would say, if any owner is listening to this outside of Kevin,
Yeah, he's not listening.
Take he isn't. He's not taking notes right now either.
I stopped listening a long time ago.
Too many acronyms.
Stand in an account and don't influence a purchase for 30 minutes and go to, on a busy Saturday or whatever, and actually see what people are picking up and just watch it. And you can actually pay attention to what is being scanned through in your local area and a fairly regular basis, and I think that information is just as powerful sometimes as, national scan data if you're not distributing nationwide. If you're looking at, again, owning your backyard.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's something like I wish I could dive more into some of those numbers, like personally, but like, I mean, I'm the head brewer, so I'm more concerned about like the quality of the beer itself rather than like the business and sales standpoint. So, I mean, I always find it super interesting, but
I mean that's why I thought that this would be a good conversation, is the dichotomy between the two of your professions and seeing what you each see from not just your jobs but your locations and the size of your companies and all of that. Like it's just like interesting comparison exercise, because that's all it was. This was all an exercise. Everyone go home.
So Eric, tell me everything that Phil got wrong.
Well, I think what this shows is talking about those different perspectives is you need a team, right? You need a team with expertise on every level.
Absolutely.
So that you can have functionality. We have so devalued expertise in the United States over the past several years that it's mind-blowing to me. But you need to have ideas that come up and say, hey, this segment is a white area or a gray area, as Phil said earlier. And you take that to someone who knows how to make something and say, can you make this? And then they look at you and go, no, I can't. Or I can, but the profitability is not going to be as high because we have to use these kinds of ingredients to make it well. You need expertise at every level. And what ends up happening, I mean, this is me looking from afar, right? From a small brewery. But what you see when people fail on those kind of like national levels is you have this disconnection, it seems like, between the functionality of the thing and the idea that they're trying to function. And those two arms of that company aren't talking to each other, and you get crappy shit. One of the guys that I knew a long time ago, I know Mike, you met him. I know Phil, you did. Paul Farnsworth, who is somebody who was involved with Brew Hub early on, and he worked for Miller Coors. He worked in the beer space for years and years and years. He was an older gentleman when I met him. He was involved in the Bud Light wheat debacle, where they put this beer out, and he described how he kind of like helped to pioneer and put this recipe together. And they kept coming to him and saying, no, we can't do that. You have to do this instead. And we can't do that because that's too expensive. So we have to put this instead. And then they just made a shitty beer. Well, you need expertise for someone to say, that's going to be shitty. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. Let's not waste all this money on promotion and marketing and all this other stuff just to make a shitty beer that no one's going to like, because you've essentially made a beer for nobody. And sometimes the brewer can tell you that. And sometimes the marketing person can tell you you've made a beer for nobody. Your Cascadian Dark Ale that Phil and I both gave the thumbs up to. You on a marketing level at a grocery store, you've made a beer for no one.
Yeah.
But at a tap room, you might be able to sell it.
I was kind of thinking, like, just a few minutes ago, like, I wonder if Phil's process kind of is like, okay, sales and marketing, they come up with an idea and then they go to someone from from the brewing standpoint and go, hey, can you put together a recipe for something? This is what we're thinking. And then they send like, okay, here's the recipe. Here's what I would need. And then they have to get approval from like, okay, financing, like this is how much it's going to cost. I'm like, oh, we'd like for it to be under this price. And then for them to go, well, I can't make this the way that you expect it to be without it being like, and there being like some of that always like, but I feel like with a bigger company, you are going to have that, and it's in a truly collaborative, bigger company, you're going to have that constantly moving around. Like, okay, pass this over to this person to get approval, to then come back to here and then to there. Like it was just something that was going through my mind. I'm like, I wonder if there is a lot of that passing back and forth in that system to do stuff like that. And can I say that you're shaking your head? Yes.
Yeah, and how do you avoid making a camel? You know, the whole saying of a camel is a horse designed by committee. Back to Kevin's wheat debacle, right?
It goes back to, we're in a relationship driven business. So you have to earn the trust of all the different departments. And essentially, I'm the conduit that plays in between every department. And you have to be able to wear the different hats and play in that cross functional role on a regular basis. Because those conversations, Mike, you're hypothetically thinking about them, but yeah, they happen. You're a publicly traded company, and you're looking at things and you're saying, okay, well, this is great, but for us to publicly release this beer that hypothetically was a tasting room only example, this beer did great in the tasting room, but profitability wise, we can't take it at a regional level or even a statewide level because it isn't where we need it to be. So then it's a matter of, do we have the ability to stay true to the idea, true to the recipe, and true to the flavor, and make some changes that aren't going to completely change this item. And it's a delicate dance, and there's, you're having these conversations with people that are truly passionate about recipes that they've developed and built out, and they're children. They've raised them, they got them to the tasting room, and now we want to take them one step further. And sometimes it's a matter of, hey, I, I, maybe we can be a little bit more profitable over here so that we can be a little less profitable over here and balance everything out. At the end of the day, it's a business, and you got to make sure that you're setting yourself up and your company up for success. So yeah, there are those cross-functional, cross-department conversations that have to happen. And every department looks at something differently.
The real white space was the friends we made along the way, I think, is what we're learning.
I would say it's a great
that was the proper way to end this episode.
Make those friends drinkers of Cascadian Dark Ales.
And I'm sold.
I know we're wrapping up. I do have one question for Phil, just because I know he listens to the podcast. Phil, had you heard of Dirty Soda?
So, believe it or not, I am experimenting currently. I have a competitor's Dirty Soda in my garage refrigerator. I have 24 cans. It's interesting. It really is a it's a weird category. It really is.
It is, because these guys both looked at me like I was insane or making something up when I brought it up on the pod. So,
what's the difference between that? I get it, it's malt based, but so are FMBs. So is, I mean, I don't know.
This is Mormon. This is Mormon. That's the difference.
Well, yeah, mine came from that state. I'm not going to say it's good. It's not bad either, which is weird. It's like that in between. It's like I want to hate it, but I sort of like it, and I'll continue to drink it. Um, I I think there's some opportunity there, but again, it goes back to flavor, and I don't know. I just think there's cleaner ways to do this than playing around with malt. But state regulations disagree with me. So. Or contracts, I guess.
We'll have to follow up on this
Both.
dirty soda saga
It's weird.
in a future episode.
Yep.
It's an interesting category. It really is, and it's fledgling. You would say it's whitish, almost gray. But there's definitely some room. But I already feel like we're playing in that landscape with the Beast Unleashed, and transitioning our flavor from the energy side and removing all of the caffeine and the energy and the taurine, all of that stuff out, and just doing flavor, because I don't see a difference between dirty soda and FMBs. And that's really where I'm struggling with that category. And it's also
other than
such a small
alcohol,
segment.
I guess.
But even alcohol, like you can produce a 5% or a 4.5% version of any flavored beverage.
Yeah, I'm just saying because like dirty soda is not alcoholic.
There's alcohol in what I'm trying. It's low.
Oh, really?
But, Tim, what were you referring to? An
I was talking
alcoholic?
about I was talking about the ones that are the non-alcoholic ones. But they are. I think
you're talking about the coffee creamer, like soda stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that.
No, I'm talking about the alcoholic, like dirty, like it literally. The brand I'm trying right now is Dirty Pop. So,
isn't that an NSYNC song? I'm pretty sure Dirty Pop was an NSYNC song. Justin Timberlake tried to beatbox on it. Which is
also,
it's not
dirty
made
soda
by
is
Monster.
trademarked, and we know how much Mormons like to sue people. So we should probably not use that term so much on here.
Let's get out before we're all poor.
No, come on.
All right,
quick, before you wrap up, I want to disparage the Church of Scientology. They're not litigious at all.
I like that you can just say, I want to disparage the Church of Scientology, and that is disparaging to the Church of Scientology. I think that's enough.
Also, they aren't Mormons, and Mormons aren't Scientologists, and I might have confused them in my whole rant about suing people, but I don't know.
It's not cult. Why cult shaped?
I mean, the Mormons were pretty cool with the Book of Mormon. You know what I mean? They actually buy ad space in the playbill. So I don't think they're as litigious. They're not as litigious.
Okay. My bad, Mormons.
They might believe in magic underwear, and Joseph Smith was obviously not a prophet. But I mean,
and the Holy Land is Missouri.
Yeah, but they seem pretty nice.
Although the fact that you called them litigious might piss them off enough to sue you, so we'll see.
I'm sorry. It was all you're allegedly.
I'm sorry, Mormons. I apologize. Who thought this was going to be how we end this episode? Apologizing to Mormons.
The title of this episode.
I have that in the rundown. We talk about Kevin going to college. Get back on track. Mike apologizes to Mormons. It's all there.
It's all there.
All right,
Kevin
let's head into the last point. The point in the show where we give each other an unspecific amount of time to talk about whatever it is that we want, beverage related or not. The only rules is that it's uninterrupted, unobjected, unopposed. We like to start with our guests. So the one who is to the top left to me is Phil. So I'm going to start with Phil.
I don't know why I have to start with this. I always hated these. It, um, I went back and forth all day thinking about what I wanted to talk about in my last call, but I think that the main thing is, it reminded me of tonight reminded me of this entire situation. It Reach out to your friends that you haven't spoken with in quite some time. I think it's super important to, just communicate, and it takes 5 minutes to reach out to somebody and just say, hey, what's going on? I have thoroughly enjoyed catching up with, two of my closest friends, as well as Tim. And and I think I think more times than not, we allow life to get in the way, and we're all busy. Everyone has different things going on. And I think it's really important just to reach out, even if it's a simple text message. And that's part of the reason why I try and text Mike and Kevin on a regular basis about the show, because I feel like I'm with them when I listen to this podcast. And it's really important for us to continue to keep those connections alive. So if you haven't spoken to a really close friend or even an acquaintance, take 5 seconds and shoot them a text and just wish them a good day. I think that's the most important thing.
You're here. Eric?
You're not allowed to say yes or no to my last call.
Top that, Eric.
Damn. Now I know how it feels when you guys have to go after Kevin.
It sucks.
Oh, I mean, I also debated on what to do as well if I wanted to do something meaningful versus something more pedantic. But so I went with the more pedantic route. I guess I like recommending things to people. I don't know, sharing interests and things like that. So here's 3 things that have been, at least I've been interested in the last while. First, so first is YouTube channels. One's it's all in kanji, but it's called Japanese Local Favorite Food. Is on YouTube. They only have about like 100,000 followers, subscribers. But and I also have been trying to look as an easy way for subscribers or for people like Americans to look them up. It's very hard. But search at, like the @ sign, MOIN. And what they do is they do like 20-minute little documentaries about different restaurants in Japan. And you put subtitles on because it's obviously all in Japanese, but like the subtitles themselves describe everything for you in English, and it's great. It's just like nice little things. People they'll make like one dish at their restaurant, and they'll just like highlight that. And I don't know. It's a very nice, warm, and relaxing visual watch. The second one is another YouTuber called Redline, Redlyn, and he basically just goes over like old like online game servers from like the early 2000s, and it's just been interesting to watch old like quote unquote dead games. I think he even like self-described it as called like digital archaeology in a way of here's dead servers where there's maybe like one person on for some reason of like, I don't know, EverQuest or something like that. It's just like old games that they'll just go on and it just be like this time capsule of early internet culture, which is it's always been kind of a fun watch. And then my third recommendation is a band So I like my aggressive music from time to time. I like black metal. I've been really digging this band called Agriculture. They're based out of California. Very heavy and dark, but they also have like these like nice like bright moments, almost kind of in a deaf heaven type like way. So if you like your screaming harsh vocal guitar play, it's check them out. And that's all I have.
Tim?
Yeah. Mike, I think you might know what my last call is going to be. Minnesota sports owners are always have, so we have a reputation in the state, the Minnesota nice, Minnesota. Now, a lot of that's overblown. Minnesotans have this hubris that the rest of the world thinks something completely different from them, as they really do. I think people mostly don't think about Minnesota as much as Minnesotans think they do. They always have rivalries, right? Like the Packers care way less about the Vikings. The Badgers care way less about the Gophers. Like they think everyone Gophers really love to hate on Iowa, and Iowa looks at the Gophers like who? It's just very funny to me. And we've had our fair share of absolutely terrible owners. But right now the city has found a very great unifying force, and it almost makes me happy. I'm delighted that so many people in the city are all joining hands and raising up with one voice to curse the Pohlads, the owners of the Minnesota Twins, who put the team on the market back in November, and then just a few weeks ago cut literally 40% of their roster. 40% of their roster they shipped out of here. A team that was maybe 10 games out of first place, but only at the time, maybe only 3 games out of the wild card. All-stars. Players with a lot of potential. And these owners thought, oh, well, the value of the team that we're asking for the sale is ridiculous. And then they went fire sale on their ass. And now today they went, oh, nah, never mind. We're not going to sell the team. We found a couple people who are still going to let us do whatever the F we want and just give us money to help us do that. They're here to help us pay down debt. We built them a really nice stadium, Target Field, 16 years ago. And they promised that in return they would reinvest the savings they got through public funding into payroll and building championship caliber teams, and they've done nothing but the opposite. And they're seeing this year, it's the lowest attendance in 16 years, in the 16-year history of Target Field. No one wants to go. And they're going to continue to do this. They're going to continue to do this. This is the same ownership group that threatened to bring about contraction back in 2001. The sire of the family, who passed away, I don't know, what was that, 2009 maybe, but he did get his start as a used car salesman, and then he worked in helping to foreclose on farms during the Great Depression. So he's really led a really good moral, upstanding life in that regard. But Minnesota fans are desperate. I don't know if you guys saw the ESPN Sports Misery Index, but Minnesota fans were in the 90s. Like, it's that terrible. Twins have not won a World Series since 1991. They've only have a handful of playoff wins in that time. And this, it's the team that's probably the most unifying, right? It's the Twins. It's Minnie and Paul. And they've done everything they can to take all the goodwill of Minnesota sports fans and absolutely throw it out the window, and to know that they will not be selling the team and they are going to continue to do this after that ridiculous fire sale that saw us lose everyone but Byron Buxton and Joe Ryan, and make Mike's team a lot healthier and better. It's been frustrating. I've not gone to a Twins game all year, and I can guarantee you that I will not be going the rest of the year, and I don't know that I want to go next year. And that's really sad that I don't want to go see live baseball. But this ownership group is oh boy, we deserve better here. We really do. I don't even know how to conclude this other than to say fuck the poll ads.
Here, here.
Sounds like a song title. I'm gonna jump in and be like, "Hey, Twins fans, you can be Phillies fans. We got good food.
Unopposed, Michael. These things are unopposed.
I just want to really quick just give a shout out to the Bay Area, especially the North and East Bay. I always love that place. I just spent a week there with my family visiting friends out there. It has started to feel like a second home, going out to Petaluma and visiting friends out there. I got to spend some time in Oakland really for the first time this past trip, and there's some tinges of Philly I see in that city, with the grit in people and their love for their city, and that you still see A's gear and Raiders gear on people in that city. I saw an awesome fucking hat that was a Raiders hat that the A in Raiders was the Athletics A on it too. Like, this was an older dude who obviously looked like he spent his entire life living in the city. And I love the landscape of it. It is absolutely beautiful. Lots of those areas in the North Bay. There's good food, there's good people, there's good vibes. So if you're from San Francisco, Marin, Sonoma County, the East Bay, thank you for having a wonderful place that I get to come to every couple of years or so for a week or so and get to partake in what you get to live in all the time, because it was awesome to just in the summer wake up at like 57 degree temperatures and go to our friend's house with the windows open and drinking a cup of hot coffee. I mean, it still got hot, but at least it went down into cooler temperatures at night. It was wonderful. Thank you. I can't wait to come back someday. So just showing some love to Northern California that they know. Kevin?
So I believe it was last week, and sometimes I can't keep these episodes straight, but I believe I talked about Hulk Hogan dying. And this is piggybacking on this. Have you guys ever heard the term, and you can't answer, by the way, just nod for your confirmation, that death comes in threes? We've all heard this thing. The idea that death comes in threes is the reason why we can't have nice things. Because superstition and nonsense and absolutely bug nutty ignorance is pervasive in this society, because people come up with these stupid ideas and they pass them down from generation to generation. The entire idea of death comes in threes we saw with Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy Osbourne, and Hulk Hogan. I saw all these social media posts. Oh, death comes in threes, and see, he was the next one to drop. Well, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about all celebrities? Because if you go to the Wikipedia page of celebrity deaths in July of 2025, there are about 250 to 300 names on that list. Now, I realize that celebrity is a little bit tenuous there, and a lot of these people are scientists and people of different levels of fame, but they're famous to some people. What about Chuck Mangione? Anyone know Chuck Mangione? He died the exact same day as Ozzy Osbourne. So was he the third one? And was Hulk Hogan part of another group of three that has not been mentioned yet? I don't know where the rules are, because Hogan and then, or Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy Osbourne, and Hogan all died within 4 days. Does it have to be within 4 days? Or can 5 days happen? Or can it be 6 days? Or maybe it's a whole month. Or maybe it's two celebrities and your uncle, because a lot of people will say that. Like, well, these two famous people died and then my uncle died. So death comes in threes. Maybe what we have is people selectively putting these kinds of nonsense ideas together to justify their ridiculous beliefs. Maybe it's why we have someone in charge of health and human services in this country who has a tenuous grip on reality, let alone science and health, because we believe in superstition and nonsense. Basic, practical, critical thinking. That's all we need. Basic, practical, critical thinking would tell you that death comes in threes is about the stupidest thing you can say. It doesn't make any sense. It's never made any sense. It doesn't. Death comes in about 10,000s, because that's how many people are dying on a regular basis. I'm just saying that. Maybe it's 100,000. I don't know. But death comes in lots more than threes. Okay? And the idea that it doesn't, and that we share these little memes, and then the same person says, we only use 10% of our brain. No, we don't. You know that sitting too close to the television hurts your eyes. No, it doesn't. And it obviously doesn't. And we have evidence that it doesn't. So please stop believing nonsense. Stop sharing it, because it's dumbing down society.
Aren't we glad that we let Kevin go last?
I was just happy for the Chuck Mangione reference. I had to explain to my young coworkers who Chuck Mangione was and play Feels So Good for Them on that day.
Maybe he wasn't big enough celebrity. I don't know, but he doesn't count because he's not a big. Chuck Mangione got a shout out in South Park. That's a big enough celebrity, in my opinion.
King of the Hill,
and he was on King of the Hill.
Mega Lamar.
There you go.
South Park was going to be my other last call.
Okay, everyone else gets another call. Phil, go. We're going to make this a 24-hour episode. Let's just do it.
Okay, one more beer and then I'm going home. One more beer and then I'm going.
Final.
Tim, you'll actually get a kick out of this. When we were in California, Allie and I were at a bar. We had the boys being watched, and Prince came on, and one of the bartenders says to the other, he's like, greatest fucking artist of all time. And the other bartender goes, I don't know who this is. And the guy who first said it, he like head into his hand, and he goes, are you fucking with me? And he's like, no, I feel like I kind of know what this song is. I've heard it before, but I don't know who it is. And the original bartender was just so like, I can't with you.
I do like that. I do very much appreciate that. I would love to have been there at the time. I think I agree with both of them.
Interesting. Phil, do you want to plug anything?
No. I'm good.
Eric?
I mean, I guess if you want to follow Blackstack on social media, I'm not on it besides Blue Sky. But yeah, follow Blackstack Brewing on Instagram and blah 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 on all the things. I post things on Blue Sky. You can follow me at kingofthehill.bluesky.com or whatever. However things work on that website.
Kevin?
I'm doing a good job at this.
I got to be cool like Phil, and I'm not going to plug anything because I'm kind of a badass and I play by my own rules. So no.
Tim.
I would like to plug Barrel of Monks Brewing.
As I Venmo him a few dollars.
Yeah.
You weren't going
to
out, I was.
I mean, I guess one of us on here has to care about the future of that business. Somebody's got a kid to feed.
Didn't you hear my plan from earlier? I've got 5 actionable items, including standing, museums, 3% THC drink. I can't remember the other ones. Come on.
Yeah, but you're
Soup.
doing that all while you're living in a dorm. Yeah, so anyway, check out Barrel of Monks Brewing. Would now distributed only in Florida. Still used to, but now as well.
I'm just gonna go to the Kevin and Phil way. I'm biting off now, so I'll admit it. If you want to follow a show, we're at United We Drink on the Blue Sky. We're at United We Drink Pod on the Instagram. If you want to listen to the show on your favorite podcast app, we should be on all of those. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else plays things. Phil, where do you listen to us? Spotify. You're a Spotify guy too, right, Eric?
I am, but I'm looking to change because fuck Spotify and their CEO.
Yeah. All right, so stop saying Spotify. We'll stop saying Spotify.
Ending on a great note. I like this. Everyone's uncomfortable. Let's go.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Eric, for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
It's been a wonderful evening. And it's been a wonderful day if you're listening to us during the day, which you probably should be. We'll see you all in a couple weeks with another new episode. Thank you again. Cheers.
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 Cheers.